Being a digital marketer, I'm very fascinated by NDA's form of marketing their campaigns all through the internet. And it just hit its roof level when they had this biopic of Narendra Modi releasing just before election. I think it's straight out of the park. It's a sixer out of the park.
One of the major issues when it comes to campaigning here in Tamil Nadu is paying money for votes.
What do you think of the campaigns that are going around you? You have people coming to your doorsteps, people coming to wherever you're walking, campaigning. So what do you think of the kind of campaigning that's been done? Do you like the campaigning style of one particular person, any candidate?
One of the major issues when it comes to campaigning here in Tamil Nadu is paying money for votes. So no matter how much ever the parties deny that, as a person living here, I know that people give money for votes and people receive money for votes. And it's a rampant business, so much so in popular culture, you have people cracking jokes about it. Like you speak to your friend and then somebody says, that particular party came to my house yesterday and offered me so much money. I got it from them. And then the next day, the other party came to me and I got the money from them too. So selling the oats is a huge it's a huge issue that needs to be addressed. And we see that the election commission right now has a lot of rules and regulations and they are trying to monitor such activities, but then still it happens. So I think this is a major issue that needs to be addressed. And otherwise, right now the campaigning style has like evolved, I should say, because people are moving from real life spaces to virtual spaces for their campaigning. If you are a person from Tamil Nadu, I think your Facebook or any other social media page should have by now dropped in a couple of ads for one party or the other. So I don't really know if this is a positive trend because canvassing via social media means that you get access to a lot of materials which may or may not be based on facts. So there's a lot of chances to perpetuate skewed perspectives, to spread hatred in order to garner votes for a particular party. So I think it is time that election commission not only focuses on the real life and they start monitoring the virtual world too.
The thing about giving money for votes is just one little fact. Tamil Nadu tops that. And it's funny because we're doing this more than UP does. And that's a huge thing. And another thing is the average age of candidates in AIDMK and TMK is 55.8. That's the average age of candidates, 55.8. If you can join the Lok Sabha when you're 25 and join the Rajya Sabha when you're 30, why is the average age of candidates 55.8? I mean, if you ask this to the parties, they'll say, oh, our youth wings have young people. But how does it matter if your youth wing has that? Why aren't you giving seats to younger people? Why is Stalin the young youth representative? I don't understand. His own son is as old as my dad. It makes no sense to me. And the thing, for the longest time, I thought giving money for votes wouldn't work because you can take the money and then you can go just vote for whomever you want. But I work with this organization part-time which does a lot of research on it, and apparently they make you promise on I don't know, some Hindu on fire. So after that, these people are literally scared that something bad will happen to them, so they go vote. So it's just this whole, I mean, the EC should they'll have rules, but what's the point of having rules if you're not executing it? The amount of money that they've captured that was being used to buy votes is huge in itself, but what about the money that's already been given? So I can't imagine how much this happens.
Implementing strict measures these days, they start distributing money for votes a long time before the election campaign itself starts. So I think people are becoming, politicians are becoming very smart in that manner because they are coming up with really interesting ways to distribute money. So one thing they do in Tamil Nadu is that whenever you have a celebration, the money goes to the family as through gift covers. So giving money for votes is a rampant issue right now.
Being a digital marketer, I'm very fascinated by NDA's form of marketing their campaigns all through the internet. And it just hit its roof level when they had this biopic of Narendra Modi releasing just before election. I think it's straight out of the park. It's a sixer out of the park. I think I'm not saying I support it. I'm just fascinated and quite impressed by the team that handles their campaigns and marketing. I'm like, they're doing a really good job.
Even in my area, which is a semi-urban area, the way that people vote is because 200 rupees and biryani. Simple. If you give 200 rupees and biryani, they will vote for you. I mean, that it is that simple for you. They don't have to market it that much because the majority of people are illiterates and they are from rural people. So, right from the early ages to till now, it is the same. 200 rupees or 150 rupees plus biryani, people will come behind you, they will stand with you and they will vote for you. So that has been the scenario. I think digital marketing is playing a big role with the urban people to woo them. But still, the base is the same. That is how they woo the people, and that even now in in RK Nagar. It is the seat of the previous seat of Jayalalitha. So by-election held, and the election commission had to cancel the election because they were scared of the the corruption there. One party is saying they will give 20,000 rupees if you show the slip of the slip of December. Other party is offering 15,000 rupees, and they are guaranteeing that they will give after 2 weeks. Even election commission is afraid of those the present ways at which the party is wooing people.
So coming to women's issues, both the Congress and the BJP have, huge sections for women. They spoke about a women reservation bill in Parliament. Though they're all talking about it, only the BJD and the TMC so far have fielded a certain percentage of women candidates for Parliament. So there are a lot of promises on that front.
I think one of the positive things with the manifestos of both the major parties, Congress and BJP, is that they have dedicated a huge amount of space to discuss women's issues in several levels. And one of the main thing which I liked was about the 33% reservation. But I think when we have 33% reservations, we should also parallelly think if it is whether it will be effective in long run. Because right now, although we might have certain parties forcing more women in several constituencies and certain parties having lesser number of women, we will have to question the actual role that these women as MPs will play in the future. Because one trend in Indian politics is that when you have a particular region where it is a must for a woman to contest over there, wives or mothers or daughters of prominent leaders are made to stand in the place. And once they win, it is the man in the house who actually makes the decisions for the constituency, and the woman is just the signing partner. She just signs wherever her husband shows to her. She's just the legal face. She's not the head of what is happening there. So I think more than having a particular percentage of reservation, we need to train women to be politically intelligent, because another trend in our households in the public scenario like right now is that women do not have opinions of themselves when it comes to political issues, and a lot of women even today vote for the parties that their husbands or their fathers ask them to support or vote. So when it comes to women's issues, I think that is the major thing which needs to be addressed as soon as possible, because only after we start treating our women and allowing them to be politically conscious beings, we will have proper women politicians. Until then, women will have to couch themselves behind the banners of vote for me because I'm Amma or Akka or whatever sentimental emotional base they can tap into. You cannot have a female politician who is intelligent and using her logic and means and her administrative talents to canvas herself into a position of power. So we need a lot of changes.
I attended this panel of women politicians once, and the biggest problem they all talked about was how there are no funds. It's extremely hard for them to gather funds because none of the people who run the parties, they're like, you're a woman, you're just there for the quota, so they don't invest in them. So I don't know if it's feasible, but there should be bodies which can provide women who are capable of being in politics funds, because without funds, as we all talked about, without funds you can't do anything. And the other problem they all faced was how the moment they are out there on the field doing stuff and a man gets threatened, the first thing they do is attack her. They attack her for their supposed promiscuity. That's the first thing they attack. They say you're a low character. She did this. She did that. So that shouldn't be allowed. I mean, it's blatantly disgusting to use that against a woman, and they know that that is what's going to get people against them too. But isn't it against the ethical conduct to be followed during elections? And these get circulated in newspapers too, and not newspapers but news outlets. So there should be rules stopping that. It's a huge problem.
As a government, when you're working as a coalition government, any bill that has to be passed, you need a ruling party just cannot do it. If you have to keep all your allies happy, and if there's this one person from one party, from somebody, let's say, I'm not taking names, but let's say Lalu Prasad Yadav is your ally, and then he's not against, he's not for the woman reservation. If he withdraws from your party, it's going to be huge fuss, because he's going to go and talk about it to other people. This whole political game that comes into picture, whereas these things should, I think, directly be handled like the article 377. It should be actually taken care only by Supreme Court, and there should be no say of political parties into it. Political parties shouldn't have anything to do with a female representation. I think it should be totally left with the Supreme Court about what they want to do about it. Whether they do right or wrong, it's going to be it should actually be discussed in future. We're going to know it later what they want to do with it. I think as of now, I think it should not lie with any governing bodies, because it's just becoming another political issue and nothing else.
Basically, it is just vote bank politics. So BJP is putting its caste and religion into its agenda, and Congress is putting the neutral stand and supporting the minorities. So the rest parties like BJD and Trinamool Congress, they are putting in the other issues like women empowerment. But on the whole, it is just vote bank politics. There is no far left, there is no far right, there is no neutral. People are just like, it is a business to us, like our fellow members said, it is a business to us. They are in one way or other cheating us. They bring in different factors, but the end result is being the same. There hasn't been a big change in the democracy of our country right from the independence.
These major parties like BJP and Congress, they propose they will allot seats and give preference to women and everything, and this is not new. If you think, like, this has been going on for a while, and I still believe that this is still not yet fully this mission is not yet accomplished. It's still ongoing. Like, why is it like that? This should be a priority, and people, as he said, the Supreme Court should have the power for this. Like, not just other parties deciding on how are we going to distribute the power to people, like how many women are going to get the power. Even if women get the power, they are just there for namesake. Like, they just there for namesake, and all the operations, all the major decisions are taken by the men in the political party. So I believe that this should be, one of the major issues, and not just a political stance to get votes and votes and other things. So that's all.
So, which candidate do all of you find most promising? Which leader do you think deserves to be elected? Who's your pick?
I don't really have a pick as of now, because the two prime candidates that we have right now is Modi and versus Rahul Gandhi, and I think both of them have their positives and negatives. And one of the prime allegations against Narendra Modi is his government's practice of discrimination against minority communities. And I, a person coming from a minority community, I would like, as of now, the poll predictions, we see that it is the BJP which might probably come back to power. So I think if Mr. Modi comes back, the party has to ensure that the minorities are well protected and they are not discriminated against. And if by any chance it is going to be the the Congress-headed coalition which is going to come to power, I think they will have to refrain from the complaints that they had during the uh, previous chances of governing the country. Like they should refrain from corruption and other practices which pull them off. So both the parties have positives and negatives, but I think as of now, whoever comes to power, whoever becomes the PM, I would like to see a person who is not biased or a partisan, but who thinks of himself as the Prime Minister of India, the Prime Minister of a country where people come from different cultural and religious backgrounds, and move the country towards unity rather than partition politics.
Ideologically, I agree a lot with people like Jignesh Mewani and Kanaya Kumar. So I would like them to be elected wherever they are standing. But whoever comes to power as the prime minister, I would just like them to hold press conferences, because in these 5 years, not once did our prime minister speak to the public, and even the ones where there was, I mean, everyone knows they were. Yeah. He also even has yeah, exactly. How is that allowed, first of all?
There was this mini trade war that was going on between US and China, where Trump was not allowing China to dump their iron and aluminium, so they started dumping in India. And then Indian industrialists had a tough time dealing with their manufactured aluminium and iron because Chinese products were cheaper. So keeping those scenarios in mind, keeping that there is this industrial revolution about AI and ML that's coming and that's going to boom the entire industry that is present in the country, maybe we won't be even talking right now if that takes over the industry. Keeping all that in mind and keeping the policies that are now, I believe that they are rigid enough to take those factors into consideration. The industrial revolution that's down the line, it will be down 15 to 20 years, yeah. Keeping the demographic dividend that's going to get saturated after one point of time, and again, like I mentioned, keeping the fact that we are moving towards aggressive capitalism. As much as people criticize him, he has been unfair. This government, I won't blame a single person for it. And I'll just this whole cow lynching thing, this cow beef ban, I think those were the unnecessary things. And I think India's because India's ranking in the democratic countries has taken a dip on a global level because of these issues, because somewhere we are being perceived as this whole right-wing nation that's basically how America is being perceived under Trump right now. But let's face it, given the policies right now, I think, yeah, there are serious amendments that needs to be made in the party's ideologies while dealing with the minority community and dealing with this whole wrong idea of nationalism. I won't call it the idea of nationalism because there's nothing wrong with nationalism. This whole idea of making and putting it right in front of you that, hey, nationalism, hey, I don't see any point in that. So taking all those factors in mind, I think Narendra Modi deserves another chance, because I think let's see, because he has promised so much about Make in India, getting in direct FDI, so much things on the line, and it's gonna all go down the drain if like some other government comes up, and it's just gonna take take GST bill for example. It was supposed to be passed from 2001, and it was like 2017 when it was passed. So there's gonna be a similar case. It's just gonna stop your development holistically. So I think, given all those scenarios, I think, and given the candidates that we have, I think he's much better option.
So I think what the opposition party now lacks is a leader who is free from nepotism, all the bribery and corruption. And on the other hand, there is one leader who is being a little bit chauvinistic and forcing his ideas. So we are being like forced to support that leader. I mean, the leader which the majority agrees, because the other party which is capable still lacks a good leader. So basically, my point is to support the present government. It has done a lot. I don't ignore the fact that the previous governments didn't do anything. Narasimha Rao government did a lot of things. Atal Bihari Vajpayee did a lot of things. We can't ignore that the UPA didn't do anything, or BJP or NDA didn't do anything. So present in this present scenario, I think there is a lack of a good leader in the opposition party. So I vote for my choice is NDA. And I wish Nitin Gadkari or some leader who is friendly with opposition party, who people like, will become a prime minister. And I wish young leaders like Tejasvi Surya from the Bangalore, that kind of people come in to the picture.
Honestly speaking, I'm kind of confused right now. Like, so I don't have a stance on who should be the next prime minister, but I would like to highlight a few things. Like, the current government had promised so much, but fulfilled very little. And as you said, the beef ban was actually unnecessary, and it's kind of ironical. If you look up, India is actually one of the largest beef exporters in the world. Like, if you go outside, you have like Indian beef in the markets over there. So I really don't get why they banned it over here. I know what mentality they have. And about the mob lynchings and everything on the minority community, so that's been more than usual in the past 1 or 2 years, because you've been hearing about all these what do you call mobsters, randomly picking out people, just beating them up. So that's not right. And also there's a few pros as well. And like, for example, recently I just saw the a news, a news, what do you call, a small, script or something. So in that, it's Modi. He had met up with the Tesla team, and he's trying to bring in Tesla cars and hopefully production. So I feel that's kind of it'll give us more jobs to the people. So I hope that happens in the future. So my final statement is here. We need a prime minister, a ruling party who's not, who's going to keep all these things in mind, and not just about for their castes, for their kind of people. No, you are the prime minister of the country, not a particular state or something. So you have to look into the issues of the whole country. So only for elections and all, these people come down to the south side, and they just interact with people, blabber stuff, make them, give them fake promises and everything. But for once they get elected, they don't even turn back and look like what's happening over there in the down south. All they focus is on the north, the northeast and everything. So this is what I don't like. And so what I think is that we need a political leader who is not biased, who is what do you call, in the interest of all the people. And hopefully we get more jobs, more employment, because that's one of the main issues right now. As we all can agree, placements are going on, so you know how it is. So I believe that a neutral government is the right government for our country.